prostrates to. تسبح له السماوات السبع والأرض ومن فيهن وإن من شيء, and there is nothing. There is no bird, there is no wild beast, there is no snake, there is no rabbit, there is no raccoon, there isn't any creepy creature of any kind, any given place on earth, إلا يسبح بحمده, except in its own very unique way. It says Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, in a way that may be known to the human person at times, but mostly only known to Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. Alhamdulillah, who manages the affairs of all the people in the world. يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن. Alhamdulillah Jalla Jalaluhu, who has blessed us to be in this house in peace and security. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. Alhamdulillah, who causes every transaction of our lives to be a blessing that comes from Him and Him only. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Every blessing that does not get you closer to Allah, that does not transform your life, is not a blessing no more. Rather, it is a calamity. كُلُّ نِعْمَةٍ لَا تُقَرِّبُكَ إِلَى اللَّهِ فَهِيَ نَقْمَةٌ. Alhamdulillah, who has created the earth and the sun, and who maintains the distance between the earth and the sun in such a perfect position. If the earth was 0.1% closer to the sun than it is today, it would have been so hot that life in this universe would be impossible, because it would have been so hot that everyone would burn to death. And if the earth was 0.1% further away from the sun than it is today, it would have been so cold that life in this universe would be impossible, because we all would have frozen to death. And we know scientifically that the earth rotates around the sun. As the earth rotates around the sun at a speed of 67,000 miles per hour, it maintains that same perfect position. A tiny fractional variance this way or that way would cause everything in the universe to crumble. Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, when his mother had him, she had him at a time when it wasn't safe to have a child, a baby child, that is. Because the supreme law of the land at the time was to put to death every newborn baby boy from the tribe of Bani Israel. إِنَّ فِرْعَوْنَ عَلَى فِي الْأَرْضِ وَجَعَلَ أَهْلَهَا شِيَعًا يَسْتَضْعِفُ طَائِفَةً مِّنْهُمْ يُذَبِّحُ أَبْنَاءَهُمْ. Point blank. No questions asked. The supreme law of the land was to put to death every newborn baby boy. And so his mother had him at this time of great despair and grief. And she was so afraid that someone may one day come and take her son away from her, because to a mother, a child is worth more than the world. Because a mother, I will stand here tonight and argue that a mother is the only living being, not a human being, because there are plenty of other living beings that are not part of the human family. A mother is the only living being who could love someone else more than her very own self. So, she was so afraid that someone was going to come and take her son away from her, that she would forget to breastfeed her child, Musa alayhi salam. And because of that, she would hide him under the table, she would hide him in all kinds of weird places in the house. And when Allah had seen how troubled this mother was, not for wanting to become a prime minister, not for wanting to become a king, but simply for wanting to raise her child, He spoke to her. He spoke to her because it is the right of every mother in this world, black, white, blue, red, neon, yellow, whatever color she may be able to raise her child in peace and security. It's the right of every mother. So, when Allah had seen how troubled she was, And by the way, we may have to stop in the middle of my talk to go to Salat al-Asha and come back. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. When Allah had seen this, He spoke to her. In Surah Al-Qasas, you know it. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ مُوسَىٰ أَنْ أَرْضَعِيهِ. And we spoke to the mother of Musa, and we told her, ma'am, we know that you're concerned about the safety of your son. We know that you're afraid that someone may come and take your son away from you. But even so, I promise you, I'll take care of you. I got your back, go ahead and breastfeed your child. But even that was not enough to put hope back in the heart of this mother. So she would still keep on hiding her child, and in the process, forgetting to breastfeed her child. When Allah had seen that wasn't working, He has made another plan for her, where she would put her son in a box, throw him into the river, and let him loose. Now I want you to think about what it takes for a mother to do that. Because the fact remains that each and every one of us here has come to this world by way of a mother. I did, you did, she did, we all did. The smartest of us, the most intelligent amongst us, the wealthiest and the poorest, each and every human being had come to this universe today by way of a mother. Because human beings don't grow on trees, and they're not made out of stones. You don't come from the high heavens. That's impossible. You would have to be some psycho to be made out of a stone and live like a human being. And for the most part, folks, especially young folks, for the most part, the truth remains that our mothers had probably sacrificed in life more than they needed to, because of the condition of what has happened in Somalia and the fleeing to a place so many thousands of miles away from home. I think of my very own mother. My mother's name is Halawi Warsala, a very old Somali name. My mother is very easily 30 years younger than my father. She's had all of us when she was 22. And my father had become sick when she was 22. She had stopped her life. She had put a stop to her life at the age of 22 to care for my sick father and for us 6 kids. To me, that's the epitome of sacrifice. To me, that's the ultimate beauty that a human being can do for another human being. And so, even though my father is very well into his 70s, my mother is only 49. In America, 49, you're still young, man. 49 is when you start tripping. 49 today is, they say, 40 is the new 30, 30 is the 20s, the whatever, 30 is the new 20. At the age of 22, she had put a stop to her life completely. I'm talking about her whole entire life, to care for my father. And Allah Jalla Jalaluhu had given her back what she gave up many years ago. Because today, even though she may be 49, I'm the youngest of her boys. And she doesn't need to work 1 second of her life today, so long as we are alive. See, it was given back to her. I'm sure it was hard the first 5, 10 years, 20 years or so. But I'm the youngest of her sons, one daughter younger than I am, who's 25. So today she sits back, she puts her legs on the table, and she could just sleep all day and night. Because she's got people that will get her back. And this is what life is all about. You give up something now in the hope that Allah is going to bless it for you 30 years from now. وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ مُوسَىٰ أَنْ أَرْضِعِيهِ. And then when he told her to put her son in a box and let him loose in the river, in the Nile, فَإِذَا خِفْتِ عَلَيْهِ فَأَلْقِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ. He told her, وَلَا تَخَافِي, O mother of Musa, do not fear. وَلَا تَحْزَنِي, O mother of Musa, do not be sad. Why not? إِنَّا رَادُّوهُ إِلَيْكِ. Because we're going to return your son to you safe and sound one day. Now, inna is very interesting. The linguistics to that word is a story of its own. Because when someone says, when a human person says we, it means that there is more than one person. But when Allah says we, it signifies might and power. That is more than any number of human beings that can get together. Are you with me? Inna raduhu ilayki. Ma'am, don't worry, we're going to bring your son back to you. Number one. Number two, وَجَاعِلُوهُ مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. When he comes back, Musa is not just going to come back like he was. He'll be a prophet. I'll appoint him as a prophet because I test you with your own son. And let me say this, by the way, while I'm at it. There is no human being who would volunteer to carry another human being for 9 months except a mother. My very own brother, he may love me to death. I don't know if he does. My closest friend, none of you guys here, nobody would carry me on his back for more than 1 minute. Am I lying? There is no man here, however pious and righteous and Islamic you may be, and however much time you spend praying day and night, there is no man here who's going to let me get on his back for two minutes. Straight up. There is no man. So then a mother is the only living being. When I say a mother, I'm not talking about the human mother, I'm talking about the raccoon mother, the rabbit mother, the bird mother, the snake mother. There is no living species who would volunteer to carry another living species or human being or whatever for 9 months except a mother. None. And there is no living species biologically whose giving birth does not involve some sort of pain. Every childbirth, whether it's the snake having a baby or laying an egg, I don't know if they lay eggs or not, or whether it's a chicken laying an egg, or a goat having a baby, right? They all go through pain. So then there is no living species who not only would volunteer to carry another human being, but also who knows that at the end of this journey, there's going to be pain and blood and tears and hardship. Number three, look at the irony of life. It comes to this world by way of pain. But it leaves the world very easily. God forbid, if I wanted to kill somebody, I would never do that. But if someone, I won't use myself as an example, if some crazy person wanted to kill somebody, we'll stop it here. We're going to pray, inshallah. Qasatu kanina, inshallah ta'ala kitna sallallahu alayna bi'idhnillah. Fadlan nastagi sunnah, nastagi sunnah, nastagi sunnah. Bismillah. So, we were talking about Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and the troubles that his mother had gone through to raise her child. Now, make a very long story short, when all the mothers in the city were assembled and Musa had ended up in the hands of Fir'aun, and he wanted, could you please be quiet, please? It's rude to speak when someone's talking. So when all the mothers in the city were assembled, because Fir'aun wanted to find someone to breastfeed this kid, otherwise he would have died, he had assembled all the mothers in the city and had them stand in a big circle. And he brings forth Musa alayhi salam, who was an infant child. And they would give it to one mother. She would try to breastfeed him. If he does not stop crying, they would move him to the next mother. The mother of Musa alayhi salam herself is in that circle, but she cannot tell Fir'aun or anyone else for that matter that she is the mother of this child. See what she has to go through as a mother. And so how this mother felt deep inside her heart, Allah also tells us in Surah Al-Qasas. He tells us in Surah Al-Qasas. He tells us that when the child was passed around and she was in that same circle, her heart was torn apart. Her heart was broken up because 2 feet away from her is her child who she cannot claim. And if she was to say, that's my son, he would have been killed and she would have been killed. And she was so overcome by motherly love and emotions that she wanted to disclose her case and say, this is my son. إِن كَادَتْ لَتُبْدِي بِهِ لَوْلَا أَرَّبَطْنَا عَلَى قَلْبِهَا لِتَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah says, had I not strengthened her heart, had I not strengthened her resolve, had I not forced her to swallow her motherly emotions back, she would have said, that's my son, he would have been killed and she would have been killed. Because a mother in the presence of her own child is like no other, my friends. And when Musa alayhi salam, when you look at Surah Taha, the same story, obviously I can't stand here tonight and speak to you about the entire story. But Allah says, أَنَقْضِ فِيهِ فِي التَّابُوتِ فَقْضِ فِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ فَلْيُلْقِهِ الْيَمُّ بِالسَّاحِلِ يَأْخُذْهُ عَدُوٌّ لِي وَعَدُوٌّ لَهُ وَأَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِّنِّي وَلِتُصْنَعَ عَلَى عَيْنِي.